Yo people, welcome back to the channel. So Josh Warrington has officially vacated his IBF World Featherweight title ahead of his fight with Mauricio Lara because the IBF refused to sanction his upcoming unification bout with WBA World Featherweight Champion Can Xu. Warrington said, "It's disappointing we couldn't have the IBF title on the line, but I can't let those decisions stand in the way of me going down in British boxing history by facing the very best in the division." Eddie Hearn will now look to finalise the fight with Can Xu for April 24th, or possibly a fight with WBC title holder Gary Russel Jr, with the Ring Magazine belt also at stake in both bouts. So, there we have it. Josh Warrington officially vacates the IBF title to essentially avoid his mandatory obligations, which were to have a rematch with Kid Galahad after they fought to a split decision in 2019. Now, a lot of skeptical people are going to suggest that Josh Warrington is ducking the rematch with Kid Galahad, and I can't blame them for assuming that or thinking that, because Josh Warrington has literally vacated his belt to avoid facing Kid Galahad, because the IBF want him to fight Kid Galahad. They've ordered that fight. Josh Warrington, as the champion, is obligated to fight Kid Galahad. However, Josh Warrington believes that to secure his British boxing legacy, he has to go and fight Can Xu and or Gary Russel Jr for their belts. But I think, especially considering Josh Warrington only defeated Kid Galahad by a split decision, it was by no means an easy victory for Josh Warrington. It was a very close fight. I don't remember how I scored it, but Kid Galahad by no means was losing that fight significantly. It was a close fight, and the judges saw it that way. And you look at Josh Warrington's last couple of opponents, Sofiane Takouche and now Mauricio Lara, you'd think, why couldn't have Josh Warrington just given Galahad an immediate rematch? Because in hindsight, I know hindsight is a special thing, you know, we can look back and see if someone's made a mistake in hindsight, which, you know, is somewhat critical and even unfair. But, you know, sometimes you have to look back and see if people have made mistakes. But you think he's fought Takouche and now he's going to fight Lara on February 13th. Couldn't he have fought Galahad instead? You know? And that would have been his mandatory obligation completed if he would have just fought those guys and beat them again. So it does make you think maybe the guy is doubting himself whether he could actually beat Galahad in a rematch. And listen, I think he could. I'm not saying he wouldn't beat Galahad in a rematch. I'm not saying Kid Galahad's some incredible fighter that's going to outbox Warrington. But Warrington's actions have shown that he is avoiding Kid Galahad. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Josh Warrington is avoiding or even ducking Kid Galahad? Leave a comment and tell me why. I think Josh Warrington comes across a little bit hypocritical, saying that he's vacating the belt because the IBF refused to sanction a unification bout. Well, by vacating the belt, you don't have a unification bout now. You just have another world title fight, which, okay, you're going to possibly win a WBA or a WBC world title and the Ring Magazine belt. Supposedly that is what Josh Warrington wants at featherweight. He wants the Ring Magazine belt, so that is fair enough. But you think, when you do look back in hindsight, he's fought Lara, he's fought Takouche, 2 fights in a row now that are against opponents that are not at the elite level, and that's what the guy's talking about. He's talking about guys at the elite level. He wants to fight them guys to go down in British boxing history. But, you know, if you would have fought Galahad, that's a much better name, a much more credible fighter than the likes of Lara and Takouche. And in time, Galahad his reputation will grow because he's a young fighter. He's probably going to win a world title at featherweight. And now that you've vacated, he's going to win that IBF title, most likely, depending on who he fights. So I think it comes across a bit contradictory from Josh Warrington. But, you know, if he can secure those fights against Can Xu and or Gary Russel Jr for their belts and the Ring Magazine belt, then he's made the right choice. But only time will tell whether he has made the right choice. So leave a comment telling me what you think about the situation. Like the video if you did enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and remember to turn on post notifications to stay notified whenever I upload a new video.